Hey guys, let's get more news about Steelers, but first, don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. Promising Pittsburgh Steelers WR could make NFL debut after lengthy absence. Promising Pittsburgh Steelers rookie wide receiver Roman Wilson could play this week for the first time in his NFL career. While the rookie wide receiver says he is just waiting for an opportunity after missing 7 weeks of practice with a high ankle sprain, he might play this week out of necessity. Head coach Mike Tomlin named 7 players as either out or doubtful for Sunday's game against the Las Vegas Raiders, and that is already the entire inactive list for the team as long as they elevate 2 practice squad players. In other words, Wilson might be active this week not because the Steelers are confident it is his time, but because Wilson simply might have to play with the numbers the team is dealing with this week. Due to injuries, the Steelers will almost certainly have to elevate running back Jonathan Ward and one of their outside linebackers on the practice squad, which means that wide receiver Brandon Johnson, who came up a week ago, will not get the elevation this week. Running back Jaylen Warren was listed as doubtful but appeared to have an outside shot of playing after feeling great on Wednesday, but it sure is shaping up to be Wilson's first game of the season. It remains to be seen whether he plays, but Wilson should be in uniform. At the start of the 2024-25 NFL season, the Pittsburgh Steelers looked to be one of the most dangerous teams in the league. Through the first few weeks, the Steelers were 3-0, riding the success of a dominant defensive front and splash plays on offense from quarterback Justin Fields and company. But at the dawn of Week 7, the Steelers are 3-2, having lost to the Indianapolis Colts and Dallas Cowboys in back-to-back games. Given the recent struggles, fans have called for a quarterback change. Pittsburgh's backup is veteran signal caller Russell Wilson, who signed a short-term deal with the Steelers in the offseason. Wilson was seen as the starter heading into the 2024-25 season, but he suffered a calf injury just before the year and has been recovering from the ailment. After a few weeks on the sidelines, NFL insider Adam Schefter revealed that Wilson was a full participant at practice for the first time this season on Wednesday. This led to a social media frenzy, with many fans concerned that the Steelers would thrust Wilson straight into the starting lineup, diminishing what Fields had been able to accomplish early in the season. "He needs to start," said one fan. "We're not scoring enough points with Justin Fields as our starter, and it's very concerning. The Justin Fields truthers are going to lose their collective minds when Mike Tomlin benches him for Russell Wilson," said another fan. "Might see him starting soon after last game's performance," mentioned one fan. "Mike Tomlin is punting on the season if they start him," commented one fan. "Yo. Gotta find out sooner or later," said one fan. "Mike Tomlin is punting on the season if they start him," said another fan. Fields was traded to the Steelers from the Chicago Bears in the offseason. He was thought to be the backup behind Wilson, but an injury to the Super Bowl champion changed the Steelers' plans. In his last outing, a 20-17 loss to the Cowboys in Week 5, Fields produced 2 touchdowns and 131 yards, completing 15 of 27 pass attempts. The dual-threat quarterback also added 27 yards on the ground. Pittsburgh struggled to find offensive consistency in the Sunday night contest, with running back Najee Harris leading the team in both receiving and rushing yards. He ended his night with 42 rushing yards on 14 carries and 35 receiving yards on 2 receptions. Following back-to-back losses, the Steelers are preparing for a Week 7 matchup against the Las Vegas Raiders. They'll be traveling to Las Vegas to take on the AFC foe. While their starter for the Week 7 contest has yet to be announced, the Steelers are in a great position to bounce back, facing a Raiders team that ranks at the bottom half of the league, defending the pass and run. Can Jaylen Warren spark Steelers' run game if he returns this week? Although Mike Tomlin on Tuesday listed Jaylen Warren as doubtful to play on Sunday, the latter evidently thinks otherwise. In fact, he didn't even want Tomlin to pull him out of the game a few weeks ago when he came up hobbling. Warren practiced yesterday and seemed more confident that he could play than did his head coach. The Steelers been less effective running the ball without Jaylen Warren, especially after factoring for QB Justin Fields' off-script runs. A lot of that has to do with the offensive line, of course, which has dealt with injuries all year. But they have also faced stacked boxes, and Najee Harris has been up and down in his quality of performance. Many believe that Warren is the better of the Steelers' two running backs. But he has struggled to stay healthy so far, going back to training camp. Considering Tomlin viewed him as doubtful to play against the Las Vegas Raiders, odds are he would be playing through injury if he were to return this week. The Steelers set up to run the ball this past Sunday against a Cowboys defense that struggled to stop it. That proved a much more difficult assignment than they anticipated, leaving many to long for Warren's return. With both Warren and Cordarrelle Patterson out last week, the Steelers promoted Jonathan Ward from the practice squad, having previously promoted from their Aaron Shamklin to the 53-man roster. They technically have enough bodies at the running back position, but what can they do with them? Jaylen Warren has 54 yards on 14 carries this season, plus 28 yards and 5 receptions. He rushed for 784 yards in 2023 on just 149 carries, adding 370 receiving yards. When healthy, he is liable to split snaps with Harris roughly 50-50, though not necessarily touches. The Steelers have clearly felt his absence the past 2+ games since going down with an injury. If they can get Jaylen Warren back this week, can he provide the spark their run game clearly needs? Steelers trade pitch flips Russell Wilson, replaces him with $38 million QB. The Pittsburgh Steelers have a handful of options under center, including replacing Russell Wilson with a younger player to compete with /backup current starter Justin Fields. A handful of teams may be interested in Wilson's services, including the Las Vegas Raiders. Wilson's minimum salary would be attractive for teams, assuming he would waive his no-trade clause, Jeremy Fowler of ESPN reported on Wednesday, October 9. And the Raiders were once on his desired list of destinations. If the Steelers decided to move off Wilson, who they are paying just $1.2 million this year and who has yet to take a single regular season snap, it would mean with certainty that they believe in Fields as the starter for at least the rest of the season. However, Fields is not without his flaws and is also playing on the final year of his rookie contract. He will be an unrestricted free agent in March 2025 if he doesn't extend with Pittsburgh before then. That fact opens up the possibility that Pittsburgh could be in the market for another QB ahead of the NFL's November 5 trade deadline. One player who may be available is former number 1 overall pick Bryce Young of the Carolina Panthers. Adam Schefter of ESPN reported in September that the Panthers are most likely to try and move Young during the offseason. However, Christopher Knox of Bleacher Report suggested on Wednesday that those circumstances might change in the coming weeks. A strong offer may change the Panthers' plans, of course, and getting a jump on the 2025 market would make sense for teams in need of a long-term QB plan, Knox wrote. Fields is still young enough to be a long-term solution for Pittsburgh. If his play slips, however, Young could be the next former first-rounder on whom the Steelers take a flyer. Young is playing in the second season of his 4-year, $38 million rookie contract that includes a team option for 2027. And you fan? What do you think of the situation of Russell Wilson? Leave your opinion in the comments.